Little Pilgrim's Progress, Part 2, Chapter 74, Fearing's Pilgrimage. The rest of Fearing's story was soon told. Goodwill wrote a letter to the interpreter, asking him to send a guide with the poor chicken from his house to the celestial city. But Fearing spent several days and nights outside the interpreter's gates before anyone knew that he was there. Then, one morning, Greatheart happened to see him from one of the windows and went down to speak to him. He was cold and weak for want of food, but he brought out his letter, and, after a little trouble, Greatheart persuaded him to enter the house. "And you were with him always from that time?" said Honest. "Yes, he was pleased when we came to the cross, and he did not mind the hill of difficulty or the wolves. He was not afraid of such things. He only feared lest the king shouldn't think him fit to be a pilgrim. At the Palace Beautiful he was very happy. He would not have much to do with the family or with their other guests, but he liked to hear them talk. You know, there is a large screen in the hall, and he used to sit behind it where he couldn't be seen and listen to what was said. We stayed a long time in the Valley of Humiliation, for my master told me not to hurry him, and he seemed to love the grass and flowers so much that he could not bear to leave them." "How did he pass through the dark valley?" "I was afraid it would be terrible to him, and indeed it was, but the king did not allow him to be troubled as many pilgrims are. I never saw the valley so light or so quiet at any other time. In Vanity Fair he was angry at the wickedness he saw around him. He was braver there than anywhere and was ready to fight the enemies of the king at every turn. However, we passed through the town without being hurt, and after traveling slowly for several weeks, we came to the river. Was he not satisfied when he saw the gate of the celestial city? Not a bit. He wandered along the shore, looking across at the bright walls and crying that he would never be received there. He was sure that he would be lost in the river. But when the message came for him, I went down to watch him crossing, and the water was so low that he went over quite easily. Then the Shining Ones met him, and I saw him no more." Mr. Honest seemed glad to hear of his old friend's pilgrimage, and that he had reached the city safely. When Greatheart had finished his story, Christiana said, "I thought perhaps other pilgrims did not feel afraid lest the king should not receive them. I have felt that way so often." "So have I," said Mercy. "I have too," said Matthew, "and I wondered whether the king would be displeased with me for it." "No," replied Greatheart, "he will not be displeased. I think all good pilgrims feel anxious sometimes." "If they were quite satisfied with themselves," said Honest, "it would show that they were not the king's true servants. I once traveled a little way with such a pilgrim. His name was Self-Will, and he never troubled himself at all about pleasing the king. He thought he need only follow this path until he came to the city, and he would surely be received there." While Mr. Honest was talking about this foolish pilgrim, a traveler passed by who said to Greatheart, "You must be careful, for there are some robbers out tonight upon this plain." Greatheart was glad of the warning, and both he and Matthew kept watch as they went along, but they did not meet the robbers, who had perhaps heard of Greatheart and would not venture to attack him.